And how should we actually start to approach what is yamas? So when you're starting to talking about yoga, we should understand what is yoga. Yoga means in union, which means that the nature outside and our individual consciousness, when there is no gap, when there is no possibility in which that merge, that union happens, that's called yoga, and that comes by the statement of chitta vritti nirodha, which means when the mind has no disturbances. So yamas should not cause disturbances. And yamas sometimes we understand because language, we have to use words, especially when you're making the translation from English to Sanskrit. We can use the word of discipline, social conduct, moralities, how should I behave. But any way we define this word yamas, they should lead to the state in which the mind is not getting more disturbed. So let's say we're going to see all of them, but just to say, for instance, if you take the example of truthfulness, satya, and then if I say to myself, I have it to be true, I have not to lie, lying is a bad thing because if I lie, I'm not a yogi, or I'm in the wrong way, or I'm not going to be able to control my mind. And you know that you are dealing with a situation with a person, and that person is lying to you. And then if Yamas has become a morality, a discipline, you're going to start to judge the person. Oh, this person is wrong, he should not be doing this, this is not nice, it's not a proper way of doing. So the person's lying, but you get affected. So when we're understanding yamas, they should lead you to more place of peace. They should lead us to more easiness. They should be able, when you go to sit for meditation, doing any practice, either posture pranayama, we create more space. We are organizing a way in which we are interacting with the other. So in that interaction with the other, we are starting to get the mind more established in this possibility of union. So now let's just go one by one and just gonna name them and just gonna talk a little bit about them. So we have ahimsa, which means non-violence, satya, truthfulness, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, which is they say celibacy, but being celibate, but it's not exactly that. Aparigraha, which means non-accumulation. So now again, we are making a sadhana. It's almost as we are doing a practice, we are consciously involving ourselves to understand the nature of the mind and how yamas can lead us to the same nature of the mind in which we do meditation. So let's say non-violence. What causes violence in us? So let's say someone is doing a behavior that I really do not like. And I say like, oh, this person is acting in a way that I feel is disgusting, or I feel angerness in me. Like the mind is already disturbed. There is like some expression comes in front of you, and you want to cut that expression by saying, by thinking, even acting. So of course, this will create a disturbance in your mind. You have a judgmental, this is not good, or I'm good and this person is wrong. But at the same time, if non-violence becomes a morality, imagine, you're feeling like some anger or something like that, and you feel that angerness, that violence arising in you, and you're trying to control, and you're trying to like, oh, this is not good, I should not express, then it becomes a conflict. Not saying that you should express it, but if we see from this angle of a mindset or something that we have it to put some effort towards that, that's going to lead us to more and more like building up more and more suppression. In the same way, if someone, if you need to talk a little bit more harsh, but you're not coming from the background of not liking this person or saying that person is wrong, the act is wrong, and you want to correct it, and you use a little bit of more intensity, and you can call that aggression, but that aggression does not come from this background of I hate something, I don't like something. It's coming by this existential alignment. So in that state, the mind is not like disturbed. Satya, so satya is truthfulness, and we can see that many times why people lie because like sometimes we want to have a ego, or maybe like a self-image that we want to promote, like, oh, I'm a good person, or I am someone who succeed, and I tell a story which is not true just to build up that identity, or I have some inhibitions about life that I have to hide, and I wanted to somehow create a kind of protection myself. But those things, it will disturb your mind. It's not that we have to say everything that's true all the time. Again, if you take the example of one of, I think the Upanishads, or no, one of the texts in which a king comes to a sage and says like, oh, there's a lot of people that trying to, robbers that wants to kill me. Can I hide here? And then, of course, hide here, like in some place, in his hut or something like that. And then the robbers come and say, oh, you are very sage, you are a very respectful person, you are a meditator, we respect you, but we are here and wanted to rob the king and kill the king. You tell us where he is. He's there in your hut. And then the sage says, no, it's not there. Because like he's not attached to any kind of self-belief that he has to tell the truth. He's just saying like, well, existentially, why should I factually say a person is there and that person gets killed for no reason? So it's all about this existential alignment. Asteya, which means non-stealing. When we steal something because we're not contented, and then we wanted to get something that does not belong to us. I feel incomplete in my life. My mind is disturbed. Again, if you trace back, if my mind is not disturbed, why should I try to take something which is not mine? Why I want trying to steal something? Why? And it can be anything. It can be idea for someone else, from someone else. It can be something that's not yours, something that you're trying to, out of comparisons of judgments, out of a state of the mind which is not a healthy state of the mind, you want to possess, and then you can accumulate karmas. So there's also one dimension that's very important, not to be in the dimension of all the time being bored by our past experiences. In brahmacharya, why brahmacharya leads to virya, which is like energy? Because if you're all the time in the mind is looking for to find that Brahma, that creative energy in food, in sex, you're losing energy. Sometimes you're losing time because you have to go, and if you want to buy food, and you have to go to this place, and you spend your money, that you have to work more, or if you engage in a certain way of sexuality, that you lose your sexual power. That also comes with some consequences. So if you're trying to find that completeness in something else, naturally you're going to be depleted of energy. And aparigraha, simplicity. So, and then again, especially when you're starting to learn all those things, okay, now I'm going to be simple. I'm not going to have anything. I'm just going to have one cloth. I'm not going to spend time washing my cloth. It's about life expression, like if you need something, if you need a good computer and you have the resources, why you not buy it? Or if you have like some money in your bank account, if you want to possess something, it's perfectly fine. It's not about like I'm rejecting anything, but you create a space for yourself, because every time you are accumulating things that are not necessary, again, you spend time, you spend money. I can tell to myself, from my personal experience, I want to have like a certain apartment, and then it comes like, okay, I need an apartment that has this, and that. And back then I was way less simple than now. I'm still not very simple, but I'm on the way. And okay, and now I see I had 2 rooms, but I just needed 1 room. And then I had more taxes to pay, and I have to clean more. You lose a space for life. If it's needed, it's needed. But again, to what extent you are looking for completeness in the outside and get more complex in inside. So this was a little introduction about Yamas. I hope you like it, and I really encourage to take this as a sadhana, as like a something that's not only comes as a mind, like, okay, now I'm gonna try to adopt that as a particularity, but use as a tool of self-reflection. To what extent I'm accumulating things that I do not need. To what extent I'm reacting to objections and angerness that is, in the end, we get toxic. Like when we express that angerness and we build up that thing, we suffer. Not only the person, but ourselves, sometimes even more. So from this background about Chitta Vritti Nirodha, to create a peaceful state of the mind, we should understand Yamas. I hope you enjoy, and I see you in the next videos. Namaste.